And we're live.
Welcome everybody to another EOS Talk Open Agenda on the Beyond Bitcoin Network. Today is Saturday, November 3rd, 2018, and I am Official Fuzzy. And I join every week a bunch of people who like to talk about interesting things in crypto, who like to listen to me talk about things that I think are important about cryptocurrencies. And we have been covering this from the very beginning of delegated proof of stake, which is really the technology that can take us beyond Bitcoin. And that is why Bitcoin is here, Beyond Bitcoin is here, because we've recognized the value of Bitcoin from the very beginning. And the people who join up to these hangouts generally have followed a path and found delegated proof of stake where the majority of all blockchain transactions happen on just a few delegated proof of stake chains. And that means that we can go beyond Bitcoin. And I believe that EOS is the exponential operating system. For those of you guys who have been following us for a while, you will understand what I mean by that. But for those of you who don't, it just simply means that in cryptocurrency, there's no real way of communities working together so easily. So it becomes more of a matter of pumping and dumping coins against one another, and communities warring and creating factions. And of course, factions will always occur, but if the communities can't self-sustain, then they can't build value, and they can't continue building value. So scalability is one of those extremely powerful things that we use as a reason for why we support tech that we do, because it can truly take us beyond Bitcoin. And because of that, we have the exponential operating system here that we talk about every other week at 7 p.m. Central Time. And we do this because we want to talk not necessarily about pump and dump stuff or just the price of everything, but we want to show people, because showing people is the best way of teaching. And there are things that I've learned over the course of time in crypto that I feel is important, and I like to have my voice out there. And I also want to offer people the opportunity, if they care to sign up, to join us and discuss things. So with that said, we do just generally start off by showing everybody that we have the EOSTalk Forums. These were the first forums built on, they were for EOS that were built on a blockchain. They were initially built on Steam. They are now on their own testnet. And just having these here is one of the early ways that we taught people who were just entering EOS the means by which we can actually improve use cases beyond Bitcoin. Forums based on our blockchain technology exist today. Not many else do. Now, of course, if you're one of the people who likes to look at the price on there, you can do that. And you can also join our Discord where we hold these directly from the site. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit tonight. Before, we won't go to Blocktivity until afterwards, but I do want to give everybody kind of an overview of what I do want to talk about tonight. And it's not going to be the presentations like I normally do, because I have some links that I think are just important for us to show, and some of them are to videos. And because of that, I have an agenda that I've written up that I just wanted to discuss, and then we'll give a couple updates at the end. But this agenda is going to be about Minecraft and what EOS can gain from Minecraft and Ready Player One. And of course, we won't get too far into Ready Player One yet, but I do want to warn everybody, if you have not seen Ready Player One, this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler alert. So this isn't something that you have to have, that you have to watch right now. It's not going to give extremely important time-sensitive news, but if you don't plan on watching it, continue on. but you might choose to watch it after we talk, because I think it has some important messages that at least touched me, and I think really are salient in the space and time that we exist in the circumstances that we exist in. So with that said, a lot of people don't know what Minecraft is, but if you guys can get ready the video, I'm going to describe what Minecraft is to everybody. My son plays Minecraft. He builds castles. He builds all these different little villages, and he mines for treasures, and he can build things and craft things. And people who get really good at it, and communities who get really good at it, start building extremely big things like cities and dungeons that are like, labyrinth dungeons and weird alternative realms of fire and stuff. Weird things, but a lot of it is amazing that you can build whatever you pretty much. And one of the things that I thought was extremely powerful about Minecraft when I saw it was that it's basically like Legos without any of the cleanup, right? And it actually has another layer where you can even create things like calculators and code inside, and computers that actually run within Minecraft. And because of that, I've been very interested in Minecraft. It's a very popular game. Now, I wanted to bring up EOS, and that's kind of why I started out with Minecraft and discussing Minecraft. I'm not going to give all the details on how valuable it is yet, but I'm going to give you some stats after giving some credit first, because I wanted to say that I first heard about this from CryptoDunk. And his video, he was having some issues, so I didn't want to pick it up. But there are people who I work with and I really trust from a project called EOSNation. And they made a video on it. And I felt like it was a good video for us to start out and watch just a few minutes of it, maybe a minute or two of it. Don't want to take the entire thing, but give them a little bit of credit and give you direction to watch this if you want to see it. So if you guys want to go ahead and cue that up, I'm going to step back, and I hope everybody enjoys listening a little bit to EOSNation and decides to follow them afterwards.
Financial advice. The sole purpose of this presentation is to explore what is possible on the EOS blockchain. In episode 1 of our EOS DApp Spotlight series, we take a look at EOS Planet. What is EOS Planet? It's a Minecraft-inspired virtual 3D world where players can run around freely, mine, build, craft, collaborate, and even fight over territory. If you aren't familiar with Minecraft, it's the #1 selling PC game of all time. It's a virtual Lego-type sandbox with the ability to build anything you want, from epic structures to entire cities. Someone even made a functioning cell phone inside Minecraft. The ultimate goal of EOS Planet is to make a self-sustaining game that lives on the blockchain. EOS Planet doesn't use a back end. It's essentially your browser talking to the blockchain, and the plan is to keep it that way for all core features. Currently, the game only allows building with the unlimited resources provided. It's a very basic iteration of Minecraft at this stage. You can see as we fly around here some of the structures built so far. I made this EOSNation logo the first day or so that the game came out, and it costs about 2 EOS to build this. Since then, others have added features around it, like the arrow and this pumpkin. How big is EOS Planet? The developer says the algorithms and next-gen smart contracts used in EOS Planet allow for a near infinite landscape. For now, however, the system forces a virtual perimeter that will grow as demand grows. When approaching the perimeter, the game will warn you, as you can see here. So how does the game work? I'm not going to go into depth here on the economic model of the project. The basics right now are you build structures with blocks at the cost of 0.0.
I wanted to just really quickly
per block.
show
later
people this,
stage.
and I would urge you to go to the link that we can provide, because everybody has the links here, guys and gals who are streaming. So please provide that link. But this is the link to the EOS Planet game that is just kind of in beta right now, and they're going to be talking about it at EOSNation. And I would urge you guys to kind of check out what they did, because I thought it was a really good work. So with that said, though, I want to go through a couple facts and stats about Minecraft and why I think that this is an important thing to look at, right? And I'll just go ahead and I'll start by saying I want to thank expandedramblings.com for providing this information. And of course, they did so to and provided sources, which I went and checked, and they're all solid sources. And it's pretty stunning, the information provided. And that is the following. Minecraft has 91 million monthly users playing it. 250 million games sold. 100 million of them are sold in China. 4 copies of them were sold to people in Antarctica. And $1 million have been earned in their marketplace. And for those of you who are not familiar with the marketplace, I'm very familiar with it because I've paid actually some extra fees that I wasn't planning on paying because of my son. But my son, what he's essentially found out is that there are people and fans and communities that create large packs where, like, Dinosaur Island is one of them. And they will create custom creatures, they'll create custom quests. The entire environment is extremely detailed, and it's all created by human hands who collectively work together to build on top of the randomly generated world that Minecraft creates. Now, because of that, this stat, of course, was from 2017, but because of that, we can kind of recognize that $1 million between a bunch of gamers building virtual worlds is real money. That's real money that they made. And a lot of people paid in craft coin to get those maps. Now, with that said, number of Minecraft Pocket Edition players is 40 million. So mobile phone, that's what this is, mobile phone for Minecraft. It's 40 million. And you can see exactly what that means. Now, with that said, there's also the education value. And Minecraft this has been something that I found extremely interesting, was that Minecraft is not only a sandbox, but if you think about it, it's also kind of like cards that you study with, right? The flashcards that you study with. Because when my son goes through the inventory and all the options when he's creating a game, he is learning by scrolling over each item what they are. And he's learning to read, right? And he's learning to build structures and build them in a 3D environment, nonetheless. And of course, Microsoft recognized the value of this, and after purchasing Mojango, I believe, it started the education initiative. And this education initiative has 2 million licensed users. It operates in 115 countries, has 250 educator-created lesson plans that some of which teach about coding, like learning loops, debugging and functions, and 70 million Minecraft hours of code sessions, which are part of this, have been logged. So 70 million hours playing these games that teach the children to not only read and build 3D structures that require them to, for some of them, even learn mathematics if they get really good at it, but to be able to learn coding too from within a game. This is important because if we look at these two sets of statistics here, one on the usership and one on the education, it's important to recognize, okay, one, EOS has nowhere near that. No cryptocurrency. Bitcoin has nowhere near the number of people who play Minecraft. Crypto is nowhere near the number of people who are playing demographic, but already using a coin. And this is a very important thing because they're already using virtual economies. My son, when he's learning and playing and building these castles in his games, he is also preparing to exist in a virtual economy at 4 years old, in addition to everything else. And this is one of the areas that I'm very passionate about. And I think that this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to say, to kind of bring up something about Ready Player One with this. And I thought that it was important that we brought up Ready Player One because we need to tie it together to something that I think that people will like to see and people will remember easily. And Ready Player One really gives a pretty brilliant lesson, in my opinion. It really touched me, and I believe it'll touch yours to be able to get the message that we're going to show that I found in this. Because I snuck away and I was going to watch it. And when I watched it, of course, like everything, I end up thinking about cryptocurrencies. And I couldn't get it out of my head how important it was and how it touched me. So I've been wanting to do this for a little bit and figured this was a good week to do it. So with that said, if you guys can go ahead and queue up that video.
Is the Oasis. It's a place where the limits of reality.
Okay, so you won't start it yet, but the beginning of this, I want to just show you guys that it's Minecraft in this video. Okay, so in the very beginning of this, it shows Minecraft. And you go through the Minecraft world, and then it turns into virtual reality.
This is the Oasis. It's a place where the limits of reality are your own imagination.
So the reason why I wanted to bring this part up is because it kind of shows you already that the creators of this movie, somebody who was behind this movie, had something to do with that. And most likely it was done on purpose.
You can climb Mount Everest with Batman. Check out this place. It's a casino the size of a planet. You can lose your money there. You can get married. You can get divorced. You can go in there. People come to the Oasis for all the things they can do, but they stay because of all the things they can be. Tall, beautiful, scary, a different sex, a different species, live action, cartoon. It's all your call. Yeah, that's me. Well, that's my avatar. At least until I feel like changing. Except for eating, sleeping, and bathroom breaks, whatever people want to do, they do it in the Oasis. And since everyone is here, this is where we meet each other.
So I wanted to finish this one, and this is a trailer, so, you know, pretty much anybody can kind of see what this is about, right? But I wanted to really quickly just tell everybody, this is basically a fantasy action adventure and a role-playing movie of sorts. It's something like that. Of course, it has weird things like stimulating crotch suits and other things that we won't get into because this is PG-13. But it is much more than that. Most people live the majority of their lives in a fantasy VR world, like he said. And it has a virtual economy, which is something they don't tell you in the trailer. They interact across the planet as if they are in the same room. So the creators of this virtual reality were in the movie James Halliday, which is the creator, and Ogden Morrow, which is the curator. And they named it Oasis. But secretly, James Halliday places Easter eggs inside the game to wrestle from the grave power from any malevolent forces that he believes may overtake it after his death. And of course, there's a bad guy, right, called Nolan Sorrento, and he is the head of operations at Innovative Online Industries, IOI, and he's part of their Easter egg hunting department that searches for things like that. And how they designed a puzzle for a special kind of player to unlock, and that was what we call an Easter egg. The ones who play not to win, but the ones who search for the game's meaning and to learn its lessons. And those of you guys who are really big video gamers, you probably have an idea of what I'm talking about here. This is kind of like a culture, right? And they must kind of learn his life's lessons as part of the game after his death to be able to essentially gain access to these Easter eggs and fair and square control of the world, his creation, this virtual reality. So in short, he planted Easter eggs. And if you guys can do me a favor and open up the Easter egg one, I'll describe a little bit what an Easter egg is. It's something that you place inside of the game, kind of like I said before, for people who are going a little bit out of their way. You know, they want to do extra things within the game. They love the game so much that rather than just play within the rule set of the game, they start looking for things that are in the game that no one else would see, because they kind of like live the game to try to find things in it, to try to understand all of it. Now, with that said, I'll go ahead and I'll shush for a second. And I'll ask us to play this one all the way through. It's not very long, but I think it's very important to...
That's why he created the first digital Easter egg. And to find it, you didn't even have to win. You just had to blindly play, searching around in rooms for an invisible dot. You took the dot back to the main screen, and that's when you found the first Easter egg ever put in a video game. The creator's name.
So what we see with this is of course a very short clip, but he said what you find is the creator's name, right? And when you find the creator's name, that's kind of a playback to another a real life story, in which there was a guy named Warren Robinett. I think I'm saying that correctly. I might not be, but just bear with me here. And he did this to ensure credit in an Atari game that he helped create. But obviously, these people were very aware, who wrote this, were very avid gamers and were aware of these kinds of stories. And it was an intentional a very powerful part of the plot that they put into this. So I'd like to go then to a real life lesson in Minecraft. And this real life lesson in Minecraft is Marcus Persson, who sold Mojang, is what it's called, Mojang. I should know this. I see it every day. His development company, which was what built Minecraft. And he sold it for $2.5 billion. Okay, and that's a lot of money. I'm sure all of you are aware of that. But there's a link that kind of discusses how saddened he was when he, and you guys can show that here. There's a post and that he made, well, multiple ones to Twitter, and I'm providing a link to The Independent. But they discuss essentially how sad he was, despite being a multi-billionaire. He felt like he had lost something very valuable. And he said, when you have everything, you stop kind of like caring or knowing what you want anymore. And I won't get too far into the power of meaning and the psychology stuff that, like Viktor Frankl, but there are people out there who discuss the power of meaning and how important it is in our lives, how it might be the most important thing. And I won't necessarily disagree, because if you read, there's a blog by on Windows, on blogs.windows.com, if you guys can open that one up. And it's inside of this this blog post that they officially posted from Microsoft when they acquired Mojang. They basically state that the community and Minecraft have surpassed their wildest expectations. And so they look forward to leveraging that vibrant community and helping it grow. And I kind of sit here and I think, when I think of this story, of all the analogies and all the ties that we can see to things like Ready Player One in the real world with Minecraft. Now, obviously, this is something that, Minecraft would be a big thing for EOS, right? And it is. It's an amazing thing. But I guess one of the things that really stuck out to me when I was learning about all of this was that he was so sad after making $2.5 million because he had gotten rid of something that he really loved, but perhaps also because there was a vibrant community. It wasn't just a dead thing, right? It wasn't just a coded infrastructure. It was a coded infrastructure used by people who wanted to build, by the most amazing builders around, the people who build because they want to build, right? And for no other reason. And I kind of wonder if that might be why he felt so sad. And I hear a lot of people in this space, in crypto, who are very much very passionate about what they do, and they want to change things. They want to make things better. And I find myself wondering how many developers are out there who might feel at some point like Marcus. And how might Marcus have felt if, this is a question I don't know the answer to, but how might have Marcus have felt if he hadn't sold that to Microsoft, which I'm not saying it's bad that he sold it to Microsoft or good. I'm simply saying that he's sad that he sold it to Microsoft. And if that's the case, and if another developer out there might be listening to this and they have something amazing that they someday build, if you might be sad if it's the case that, to even make billions off of something that you want, why not? How much happier might he have been? And might you be? You could find a way to sell it to or give it to the community that brought it to life, that breathed life into it. Right? And I think it is a very powerful point that we have here, because when you really think about Ready Player One, this IOI is a big conglomerate that essentially makes the game into no longer being a game. It's not about fun and building things anymore. It's about quite literally ruining the game just because you want to win prizes, and not playing the game for the game or for the lesson, but losing the entire meaning of it in one of the details, in the economics, right? So it's an important thing, I think, for us to consider as we move forward. And I don't always want to talk about this stuff like so deeply, but Innovative Online Industries was that corporate conglomerate that kind of took him out, tried to take them out. And there was a small group of people, Wade Watts and his team of epic friends, who they played the game to play it. They played the game because they loved it, and because it gave them meaning, and because they went and learned those lessons and didn't adhere to the rules within that system, because they questioned and because they asked a little bit more than what might have been upfront and visible. They were rewarded in the end by the creator with the keys to the kingdom. So the questions that come to mind with this tonight is, how could cryptocurrency gain from developers planting Easter eggs? In a way, didn't Satoshi create an Easter egg? Might the whale share token have been kind of like an Easter egg? Could developers and projects in general gain from these? And it's a very important point that I think that I just want to leave it there for you guys tonight with that. I know it's kind of a short one, but I thought it was important that we discuss some of these things, because we do talk about Moon all the time. But if we're always talking about Moon, are we forgetting about the reason we're playing the game? Because if this life is something that, that we're here for a reason, I would say that from all I've learned, meaning is probably one of the best reasons to create meaning. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but it seems to me like one of the most reasonable. And if that's the case, we should probably always make sure that in the back of our minds, we remember those lessons that we might have found in places like Ready Player One, where they show some really powerful messages that I think are very much classic, very much real in the real world, as we've discussed a little bit tonight, based on a true story kind of thing, some of it, like the Easter egg existing at all. But it also did something really important, because I think that we always think, how are we going to build all these things? Well, we build them together, and whatever currencies we choose to use to reward one another, we will build it using them if we choose to. We choose to do it for the right reasons. We choose to build. Now, with that said, I don't want to preach too much, but it was a very heartfelt movie when I watched it. And I don't get often to sneak away to watch it, but something was, every time I saw it, when I was going to turn on something for my son, I would be like, man, I need to watch that at some point. And I finally sat down and watched it. It was around the time of Minecraft, EOS Planet for Minecraft coming out, and me learning about that. I thought, man, how perfect do these things go together? Because at the end, the person who created it, whenever he died, knew that there would be people who would try to take over the system, kind of like what our founder of America said. At some point in time, the system will be taken over by people who don't know what the initial reason for building it was. And there's always going to be a small few who continue searching for that meaning. And I hope that all of us keep that in mind, because I think it's a very powerful message to move forward with, especially in crypto. Now, with that said, I do want to give a couple updates real quick. I want to thank everybody for joining up, of course. But I do want to give a couple updates, and one of them is we are getting our block producer site up and running right now for Warbly. I want to thank Warbly for reaching out to us and asking us to be part of it and asking me to advise some of the stuff that they're doing, and just for really opening up their arms to myself and many of you who are working with us. And I also want to say that it seems like they have the chain launched, but they are going to be launching their portal on November 21st is the new planned time. And that was because they want to do some testing and making sure there are no security loopholes that they might have overlooked. It was a decision on the final hour, because they said, and I agree, Dominic said that they would rather users' funds be safe and make us wait for a few more weeks to make sure that it's done. But when they found out about some potential issues, they wanted to make sure they fixed them before launching. And I do want to say you can go to their site right now and go see on the checklist that they have where they are on various things. So they're very transparent about it, and it's good. Now, with that said, I do want to tell people that I don't know of a single project in crypto that is launched exactly on the time that it was supposed to. Then again, going back to the gaming sphere that we were just kind of living in for a second, is that I've been playing games for a while, right? And there are a lot of games that I've played that are some of the best games I've ever played, or very late. Now, I'm not saying that I advocate being extremely late or anything like that, but I will say that there have been many people who get very angry historically at these video game makers. And whenever the game comes out and the video game makers didn't waste the time that they took, the people who were upset end up generally being happy and thanking them for doing what they did, because they realized that they didn't waste that time. Now, I only bring that up because I don't want people thinking that just because the chain's portal didn't launch right on time that there's any problems. I see a lot of the stuff going behind the scenes with them. I think that it's a pretty good project. I know that a lot of people who are literally helping to launch EOS are helping with them. So they're very serious people. And I know some of the things that are going on behind the scenes with Voltron that I always talk about. And let's say that the Internet of DAX, I believe, is going to be a real thing. And of course, I would urge you all to consider looking at my blog, where you will see in the future, we did put it on pause, but once the portal was launched, we have a campaign. Anybody who creates a quality tutorial, video tutorial, on how to register a wallet and claim your Warbly tokens will get 10,000 Warbly tokens. Of course, it has to be a quality one. I will, of course, give out tokens to people who try and really do try, even if it's not that great. But the people who are doing really high quality things are the ones who are going to get really well paid. But I want everybody to be earning good rewards from this. And the reason I want to do that is simply because I think this is something that we do need. And this is something that we did for EOSTalk, for EOS in the early days, if you guys remember that. And we rewarded the community with cross-chain tokens. So I just want to let everybody know this is not going to be It's going to be started up again in 3 weeks, approximately. And you will be able to participate in it at that point. But with that said, please check back on that. We have it paused right now for obvious reasons. You can't do that. And of course, we do have sponsor rewards of some of those cross-chain tokens, just to make sure that I don't forget that, which is we're going to have 50 EOS bits, 50 Beyond bits, 100 power picks, and that's from our power picks here, and his token on whale shares, 100 beehives, and that is from Bushkill on whale shares on their Maz chain there. So with that said, I just want to thank everybody for participating tonight, for listening in. And I hope that all of you will take a moment to watch the movie if you haven't. I hope I didn't spoil it too much. I went over it and I didn't talk too deeply about it, but I hope that you guys will really go and see just how amazing it is. There's some really powerful things here. And I think that these are lessons that game developers have learned over time, but gaming is a huge industry that it's starting to mesh with reality, right? Where we live a lot of our time in those worlds. So there are a lot of lessons I think that we can learn. And another one, and I need to keep it myself, is that there should be a period of time that you're not on the computer every week. So with that said, I won't go too much deeper into any of that, but I do want to ask anybody if they have anything that they'd like to bring up before we close it off for the after party.
Yeah, Fuzz, I think it'd be good just to kind of tie into some of what you spoke about today with the Beyond Bitcoin community and Worbly and Whaleshares, and just kind of give just brief how that whole inter-blockchain communication and the synergies between these different platforms should play out over time.
How the blockchain synergies should play out?
Yeah, like between the different Telos, Worbly, we have Whaleshares, all these different blockchains that are coming out, but our community is kind of focused on finding those synergies and how they all work together. So just quickly, if you could give your vision on that.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the use cases that those DACs choose. I think some DApp platforms will be more specialized for certain things. Their economies and the economics of them will be better for certain things. And I think that it'll almost be like interstate commerce. Certain states are really good at certain things. Some of them not because of the tech, but because of their community, right? And then they will become valuable hubs of services and value, and they can kind of live sovereignly as a sovereign community, and have it where people can be citizens of all of them or one of them, and can kind of grab onto the value as they see it in all of those. Now, do you feel like that answers your question?
Yeah, as a general overview, yeah. Because the last topic was kind of bringing in Beyond Bitcoin having its own block producer over on Worbly, and so it's just good to be able to understand kind of what the Beyond Bitcoin community itself does, overall.
Yeah, and one of the things that we want to do is also talk about, you'll hear me consistently say term limits, and I'm going to continue talking about it, and I'm going to also consider how we go about doing it. But with that said, we want to help build different projects and work with different projects and connect different projects with other projects. And that's kind of where we live. So as long as we're doing that, I feel happy about it. And I feel like we can gain a lot of value from helping them. And then we can also give it to the community, back to the community, which is kind of in the spirit of what they're talking about in Ready Player One, right? Where the creator gave it to the people who keep on, because he realized at some point in time it would have to pass into different hands. Now, obviously, our founding fathers in America, and obviously the Western legal system kind of really liked the idea of separations of powers. And I believe that that also is something that you see between all these chains. And I think that that's going to be another way that we see real decentralization too. It comes into it. Not necessarily every chain being fully decentralized in ownership, but being decentralized in the fact that there are many of them. Now, real quick, I do want to, before we do close out, there's a gentleman here who has been doing a lot of work on the community, the Warbly community, and EOS in general, from coast to crypto, and that's Matt, who I asked to join up tonight for the after party to talk to everybody. But while we have him here and while we are streaming, I do want to ask Matt if you can just say hi to everybody, because I want to give you some credit and I want to let everybody know that you're joining us and that you've been also doing a lot of community service basically to help people for nothing, and answering a bunch of questions in EOS and Warbly lately. Unless your mic's not working, in which case we'll just talk during the after party.
Yeah, he seems to be trying, but it's not clicking on for him.
Okay, well, that's no problem. I do want to thank you for joining up, Matt, and we'll get that figured out behind the scenes. But I do want, no, of course, it's no problem. Discord and technology is something, we love technology, but technology is not always working for us exactly the way we plan. So it's no problem. I just want to thank you for doing what you're doing, man, because I know you're doing a lot of work. I know there are a lot of other people out there doing a lot of work. And the people that are doing a lot of work, I hope we can give them credit. Because this is how humans help create synergy and exponential value. For a long time, we've been taught that getting the dollar bill is the only way to get power. But that's not the kind of power I think that we want. We want soft power, where people voluntarily want to help with things because they care about them equally and for similar reasons. Because that's the kind of power that doesn't go away when money disappears. Right? And we've lived that. I'm very proud to say that. I'm very proud of everybody who's helped, because we're here and we're about to see some amazing things and be part of even more amazing things. And I'm hearing about it behind the scenes, and I've never been so bullish, even though the market is bearish. And I'm not talking about money necessarily, because I don't know how the markets go on that all the time. But what I will say is I'm bullish on the lesson being learned and us building real stuff and the industry realizing and learning that lesson. Now, with that said, thank you everybody for joining up. If there's anything Power Picks that you'd like to say to finish off tonight, please feel free. Otherwise, let the after party begin.
Yeah, I think we're good to move on to the after party. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Well, you guys can look forward to seeing our block producer website here in the future. Seeing some of the people who join up. I want to urge everybody out there who's listening, who's been participating in these discussions, or maybe not participating, to consider leveraging them, to consider listening to what we're doing and sharing it if you feel that it resonates with you. Because you can do very little things that don't require money. They can very much help us. And the only thing that we really care about at this stage, or that I care about at this stage, is empowering good people to build a world that is a little bit better for my son when I'm not here. And I say that a little bit more often these days, but because the world is in some serious struggles. And we often will be told that we don't have the tools to get out of it. Certain actors may have interest in dividing us, making us fight, making us not see the common denominator in our existence. But that's because they don't want to lose power. They don't want to lose control because of fear. And the world that we can build is one where they don't have to be afraid, but they also can't harm people. And good people can get rewarded and can get thanked for what they do. So with that said, thank you, everybody. And please share this if you care. Have a good one.